let's actually move over to the AL Comedy Central because
Not
there
so comedy.
it's not so comedy.
The comedy
And
show is closing its doors temporarily because
do you,
it'll go back to form eventually.
Will, do you think that the Guardians are getting caught by either the Twins or the Royals to end this year?
Yes.
They're in a bad spot right now.
Yeah.
They've dug themselves into a hole.
Well, the
Rays 7 in the
Guardians
last
are.
10.
It's the Guardians' offense that has kind of come down to earth, which was the big thing for a while. That we're riding on, especially Quan. I remember Quan's superhuman numbers now. He's batting 234 in his last 30 days. So, I mean, they still got Jose Ramirez, but honestly, looking him, Noel, they're producing. Everyone else is got sub 700, some even sub 600 OPS numbers. They do not have the offensive prowess that they had before. Um, I mean, Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor, and Jackenzie Noel are the only ones that have double digit RBIs within the last 30 days. And I know that the Royals schedule is hard the rest of the way. However, given recent productions from certain teams that they play, they have 7 games versus the Guardians, which could be huge for the sake of who's at first at the end of the season. They have 3 against the Phillies, who are one of the worst teams right now in the National League, at least in the last 30 days. But watching broadcast after broadcast, they push that number a lot farther back. And last 54 games or something, they have them at 24 and 30 or something. So anyway, there's that. They play the Yankees 3 times, who are little under 500 in the second half of the season right now. They have 5 against the Twins, another division rival, who also don't have good numbers against over 500 teams. That being said, I'm pretty sure they're playing each other right now, and the Twins are winning. And if that's not happening, I know the Twins won yesterday, but still. And then the Astros
Yeah, the
are.
Twins are winning big right now. It's 11-3. So yeah,
There's so many blowouts going on right now. It's ridiculous. But they have 4 more also against the Astros, who are, again, barely hanging on to the West by a thread, but have been hot as of 3 weeks, I guess.
hold on. There's quite the lead there in the West. That the
It's like,
Astros are starting to pull away. It's a game.
I mean, they're starting to pull
However,
away. Yeah,
however,
considering
the
where they
Astros
were.
aren't freaking die. They didn't die. You know,
No, they
we
didn't
stumped.
die.
We literally ran a segment at the beginning of this season in what, April or May. Houston, we have a problem. They said, take your problem and shove it, because we do not have a problem. We're biding our time until the end of the season when it really matters.
I think we also said that they have a shot at coming back. It's not unheard of for a team that has shown the potential to be a good team within the last few years take off after the first few months. And so they were definitely a lot worse than where we thought we'd be. And there were a lot of pitching questions, but they were still very much in it. And it's 100% the Mariners' fault. That's going to be the story of their offseason, is how they lost the division to the Astros. And it could potentially even be now that they missed a playoff spot when they were they had it in the bag.
They were
The
sitting
Rangers.
pretty.
Yeah, the
They were sitting
Rangers
so
were
pretty.
dealing with pitching injuries. The Astros just could not pitch, and then they got hurt.
I want to say
But
they were up, what, 6.5, 7 games at one point?
Oh, I'm
if you,
sure.
yeah, I
Mariners?
don't know if I could.
I
I'm
mean,
trying
I'm
to think
sure
of.
at some point earlier in the season.
There's
'Cause, I mean,
some point
Houston
probably.
was.
Yeah, it would have been over the
I
Astros,
mean,
or not the Astros. It would have been
if
over the Rangers.
I was gonna say there was a point where I'm pretty sure the Athletics were second in that division. So,
Yeah, the
That's
second
the
week in
second day of
April.
the season. That doesn't count.
Our entire division, except the Athletics, lost opening day. Huh. What do you know
I,
about
Right.
that?
I mean, and the bigger thing for the Mariners too, like if they do miss the playoffs, I know we just got off track completely. But they
Bye,
bought
Royals.
but they bought at the deadline too. So if they miss the playoffs, and I mean they went, I don't want to say all out, but they brought in some bats. So for them, they obviously want to make it. I do want to shift, John, and I'll ask you this, and then I'll ask you the same question. Out of the 3 AL Central teams in the playoff picture right now, if they were to get in, do you think these teams can hang in the playoffs and perform in the playoffs against the likes of the Astros and the Orioles and the AL, and then obviously the NL guys, but like the big dogs in the AL with the Yankees and the Orioles and stuff. So John, do you think like this division can hang in the playoffs?
I think the Guardians sure can. I think they're just going through quite a slump, honestly. Uh, and then the Royals are a very hard fighting team, I will say. They fight hard. I don't know what it is in Kansas City, but they don't quit regardless, and they will battle back until that 27th out in the ninth inning, at least. So there's that. The Twins, on the other hand, they've been kind of a middling around team. They've been right now they're in the playoffs. I don't know if they can hang. I don't know how long that run will last, but I don't think the Twins have them. But who knows? Who the heck knows? A wild card team has made the playoffs and has made it to the World Series since the third wild card team has been established for the past
Yeah.
2 or 3 years. So who knows? It just depends on when you get hot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that sentiment. I think to me, I think it's almost flipped a little bit. Like I feel like the AL is more wide open now than the NL is. Like in terms of who can come out of it. Like obviously Baltimore. Like I think your top two AL East teams are going to be there, right? But I think it's a little bit of a coin flip with the rest of it. So Will, I'll pose that question to you. Out of that division, if somebody was to get in, who do you think would have the best shot at going through the playoffs?
Right now, I'd probably put my money on the Royals, but not much over the Guardians. I think the Twins, though, are the team that probably have the most to prove, and it's because of their team history and how they just broke their really long postseason losing streak last year, but also because this was really their division. Like they've had it the last few years. We talked in the preseason how they did little to nothing to really like get better. It seemed like they were just kind of like we'll stick with what we have, and it seemed like they were just betting on the other teams underperforming. Because of that, they are now battling the Royals and the Guardians and are in second place, not first. And I have no faith in the Twins going anywhere again when they enter the postseason. I think the Guardians have the most experience, but they also have the most inconsistent offense. They have they're led by new manager Stephen Vogt. However, I feel like that's not going to really hurt them too much. But the Royals, I feel like, could just be a very sneaky team. I'd have to really think about the bracket matchups to truly say who I thought would go the farthest. But given how the teams are playing in the second half so far, I'm going to give the edge to the Royals and who will make it the farthest. I think it's whoever's offense can stand up the most is the one that's going to thrive between those three teams.
Yeah, and you kind of look at like run differential, which I know is not everything, but the Royals have a really good run differential at 91, plus 91 runs. So I think kind of looking at the other teams, I agree with the sentiment with the Guardians. Minnesota's weird because we know kind of what we get with them. They're that team that still just needs to get over the hump. And if they are to make the playoffs, can they do that? But until they do, it's hard for me to say that I have a lot of confidence in them in the playoffs. But as you said, I think the Royals are a sneaky team. Obviously, they came under the radar for this coming into the season, and people know about them now. But I think they could still be sneaky good in the playoffs. Um, yeah, I think this division's been really fun this year. Like I thought I know this division would be fun because of kind of what we talked about. Like it was kind of going to be just bad baseball, but somebody's gonna have to come out on top, and it'll be a really close division. But those three teams have really separated. Detroit just could not hang around, and they're out of the picture now, essentially. So
You
They
drank
have
that
the
orange
easiest
and blue
schedule remaining.
Kool-Aid.
I did, I really
They have
did,
the
but
easiest schedule remaining. They'll make up those 9 games they're back.